Welcome to Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. Today, we are going to speak on a topic that all promoters are keen to know about. A lot of professionals also, because it deals with Goods and Services Tax and PMLA, which is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which is abbreviated as GST and PMLA. Now, there is a lot of curiosity among businessmen, chartered accountants, promoters, investors to know about what is this whole link about. There was a Government of India notification on this. What is this notification about? What impact it has on business? We will know from the expert who advises people on these issues related to financial crimes and PMLA money laundering cases. I have with me somebody who knows these subjects very well. May I welcome Advocate Karnail Singh. He is, as you know, managing partner of Circle of Counsels, a law firm that specializes in dealing with financial crimes, including SFIO, ED, CBI, and the like. But today we're going to focus on this topic. Good to see you, sir, and looking forward to some interesting insights from you on this. At the outset, may I ask you that a notification has been issued on the issue of GST and PMLA. In the first 3 to 4 minutes, could you just take us through the notification, the points, under what section it has been issued, and all these things? Over to you, sir.
See, PMLA provides 3 types of information exchange and collection. One is the intelligence collection. The second is evidence collection. And the third is, if some evidences are found, then sharing with the concerned agencies. Now, when we talk of ED, Enforcement Directorate, sharing some suspicious activities which come under certain other acts, that sharing comes under Section 66 of the PMLA Act. The Part 1 of the PMLA Act, 66 Part 1, it talks of about the Enforcement Directorate if it comes to know that during its investigation of the cases under PMLA, that there are certain taxation violations, SAS violations or FEMA violations or NDPS connected issues in that, then they are supposed to inform these agencies. The second part of this, 66 Part 1, Part 2, that gives the power to the government to issue notifications, which are the other agencies which Enforcement Directorate, if it comes to that there is a violation under the act which is being either investigated or monitored by those agencies, then to share with them. So already the first notification under 66(1) Part 2 was issued in total number of agencies with which, as per this notification, ED was supposed to inform were 25. So the GSTN has been added 26th agency. That means in case there is a violation of GST which comes to the notice of Enforcement Directorate during the investigation of the PMLA case, then Enforcement Directorate is supposed to inform the GSTN about those violations. So it is a sharing by the Enforcement Directorate to the GSTN and not the reverse. Not the GST will give either database or will share the information. It is the ED which is going to be sharing information.
Okay. So it is not as a threat as it was made out to be?
No, it is not. Initially, there was some confusion in the minds of the people. But then the Revenue Secretary issued the explanation and making it clear. However, if one goes to the Section 66 itself, whose purpose is basically that Enforcement Directorate will share the intelligence or information related to other entities. Therefore, it is an information which emanates from Enforcement Directorate during the investigation of the case to the other agencies whose law is expected to be or supposed to be violated by that particular entity which is under investigation.
Okay. Now we will go to this question which speaks about the various sections under which ED and the FIU, the Financial Intelligence Unit, collects intelligence and evidence. Can you explain me what is the FIU and how is Section 66 connected with the collection of evidence?
See, PMLA Act provides constitution certain agencies. One of them is FIU, whose purpose is to collect intelligence from financial institutions like banks, NBFC. Similarly, non-designated entities. What are the non-designated entities? For example, casinos. If the casino who's getting the casino plague, if he comes to know that somebody is suspiciously involved in the money laundering, that he is supposed to inform those suspicious activities to the FIU. FIU collects various type of intelligence. One is the cash based. How much cash has been deposited in the bank? Second is based on, there's a limit on that. And second is the rule based. Now, rule based is basically how much money has been deposited. What are the rules? Like if somebody deposit more than a certain amount, which is declared by the government of India, then that particular financial unit is supposed to inform the enforcement directorate. The one more type of information is suspicion-based information, where if, for example, banks find that certain transactions in the bank accounts are taking place which does not support what the person is supposed to do. Those suspicious activities are supposed to be reported to FIU. Now, what FIU does is FIU keeps the database of all these reports which are received from various financial institutions, including non-designated entities, and keeps them with them. When the new information comes, they merge with them, find out what is there, then inform the concerned agencies. Suppose that they find that violation appears to be related to FEMA. So they will report to Enforcement Directorate. Or if it is related to PMLA, they will report to Enforcement Directorate. If FIU find that it is related to the tax laws, income tax laws, direct tax laws, so it will inform to the Income Tax Department. If it is related to certain criminal activity, they report to even to the local police. So they report to the various agencies. That is the intelligence collection by the Financial Intelligence Unit. Now there are various countries have financial intelligence units. There is an association of these financial intelligence units, which is known as Egmont Group. The Egmont Group, India is a part of the Egmont Group. It became member of the Egmont Group in 2007. And FIU of the various countries, they also share intelligence between each other. So there is a very robust mechanism to collect intelligence about violations, not only of the PMLA, but of the various types of possible suspicious criminal activities.
I want to know from the corporate and the promoter point of view, what all he needs to know according to you on this subject in that sense. Because in the recent times, prosecutions under PMLA have seen a rise. So there is a curiosity among these people. If you can go in a little detail and explain.
See, all these entities which are operating through the financial units, they should be careful how much cash they are depositing.
Okay.
Whether whatever they are depositing, it matches with their business.
Okay.
Business activity. Then many businessmen or many people, they open the shell companies. And through these shell companies, which are not doing anything except making the transactions. There are two types of transactions through these shell companies. One is depositing cash somewhere within the limit, prescribed limit, and then moving this cash through the bank channels to different other companies and finally to the destination. So this thing should be avoided. Many people generate black money in the process of their business activity. So this should not be done, because the black money should not be generated actually. That is the very, very important point. And these shell companies are easy to detect because they have no underlying activity. Some of the shell companies even do they issue invoices for supply of things, purchase of things, without anything being supplied or anything being purchased. We say them the entry operators, and it's a common parlance in the business world. But now the people should not operate in those, the entry operators. Many people suggest them, do it. They should not do it. So that is very, very important. If they do not indulge in these activities, then they need not bother about anything.
Is there a risk that a bona fide business activity can also get mistakenly booked or prosecuted under these laws?
No, I would not say booked, but sometimes, for example, bank compliance officer may misjudge and report some activity to be suspicious activity. But then FIU analyzes it. The concerned agencies analyzes it because this is intelligence. This is information. It is not converted into the criminal case. It is not converted into the investigation unless something is found in that. For example, PMLA cannot be started unless there is a criminal case registered by some other agency, which we call the predicate offense.
See, most of these businessmen and promoters have curiosity to know how does the enforcement directorate collect their evidence. Could you just go in detail? Because, there are many companies who are run by young people. They are, in a sense, getting money from outside the country and doing their business here. Mainly investors, many times. They all also want to know that, because many times you fall foul of the law without realizing it. Of course, later you may have to go through the whole process after you've been booked. So how does the ED collect evidence? What is that these people should also know?
See, when we talk of Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the one thing, first thing is that people should know whether any criminal case has been registered against them by other agency. For example, is there a case of bank fraud registered by CBI? Is there a case of economic offense registered by the local police, economic offenses of the police? Is there any case related to, for example, Section 132 or Section 135 of the Customs Act? I'm talking of these offenses which are part of the schedule offenses of PMLA. That's the first one. One thing they know, there's a case has been registered and the money is involved in that. So there is a generation of proceeds of crime. Then there is a high probability and possibility that Enforcement Directorate will register a case under PMLA. And once Enforcement Directorate registers PMLA, there are various mechanisms to collect evidences. One mechanism is to do survey under Section 16 of PMLA, where the documents are examined by the investigating officer and his team going to the premises. They can take a statement there. They can mark what documents are required. They can take a photocopy of those documents, but they don't seize the documents in the survey. Then there could be search, which comes under Section 17. During the process of search, Enforcement Directorate can seize documents and can seize the money which is found there or jewelry which is found there and which is suspected to be involved in the Money Laundering Act. So that is second mechanism of collecting the evidences. The third mechanism is calling a person for interrogation under Section 50 of PMLA. Also calling the person that you come along with this information. You come along with these documents. So documents can also be collected. We say that impounded by the Enforcement Directorate when a person is called under Section 50 of PMLA. Then there is a Section 54 of PMLA where if the Enforcement Directorate in the course of investigation of PMLA wants to get information or evidence from other agencies. So Section 54 has laid down the agencies from which Enforcement Directorate write a letter under Section 54 and get all those evidences which are available with them. So these are the various mechanisms through which Enforcement Directorate collect evidences. The evidences in the form of intelligence also come to them from the Financial Intelligence Unit.
Okay. Okay.
And then finally, Enforcement Directorate under Section 66, which we had started talking about the new notification by the government, share this information with other agencies. And therefore, there's a probability when Enforcement Directorate is investigating case under PMLA, and if the person is found involved in certain other laws, then that particular agency, maybe for example, Narcotics Control Bureau, if it is related to that, or GST, as in this particular case, they can also start investigation if reported by Enforcement Directorate to them.
So you mean they will, businessman will go under multiple investigations? He has to then go to many agencies?
Yeah, that is true. Because if there is a violation of different acts, which are being investigated by different agencies, then all those agencies will start investigating the case.
So can you tell the viewer, okay, if a businessman gives his documents to ED, so ED will share the documents with these agencies, or they have to submit again with different agencies?
This is a problematic area, basically. When different agencies start investigating and the documents connected are the same, for example, suppose income tax return is required, or suppose certain business transactions are required by five different agencies. Like, for example, CBI is investigating bank fraud case. It requires certain evidences, collect those, and ED is also investigating the PMLA. They also require the same documents. The person is supposed to deposit with both. And this becomes a problem area. So there could be a solution to it. Could be the lead agency concept, where similar transactions are being investigated by 2 or 3 agencies. One of the agency can be declared by the government as a lead agency, and that lead agency, in combination with the other agencies which are investigating, they can sit down, they can discuss, and they say what evidences has been collected, and they can share those evidences with each other. That's a possibility. In the US, this concept is already there.
US is there?
Yeah, the lead agency concept is there in United States of America.
Do you think it is possible to do it in our country?
Yeah, it is possible. Basically, some steps are required. It will also stop infighting between the agencies in the terms of one agency is saying, you give me document, other agency is saying, you give me document. Sometimes it also happens that one agency has attached the bank account, other agency also attached the bank account. Now, if the one agency, for example, bank account is attached and it is confirmed by the adjudicating authority under PMLA, then ED is supposed to take possession of that property. Who should take possession of that property? So there is sometimes there is a issues, interagency issues. Those can be resolved with that process.
Tell me, from the point of view of the promoter, if a promoter is being called for questioning and with documents, is it necessary that he has to go through the legal process? Or is it also that with good guidance, or, if he complies, can he be let off after the questioning? Or should it be considered his fate that if there is a complaint, then he has to go to the court process for 4 or 5 years? See, any agency which is investigating, basically it is finding evidences. Yeah.
So sometimes what happens is the person who has been called for interrogation, they are afraid what will happen. And they do not come out forthrightly. Sometimes what happens is they only reply to even documentation. They only give those documentation which was asked. If that particular person who has been called for interrogation, or if that particular business whose persons are called for interrogation, if they should try to understand why these particular documents are called. There may be certain other supporting documents which can support your version. So one should also submit those documents so that the IO is able to get the fair idea what is happening. See, sometimes injustice may occur because the true picture is not given. True picture is not given because of the ignorance. They are afraid if we tell this, what will happen? Or they even sometimes do not know that even this information should be given. So that analysis, when you are giving the information, one should do that this information will lead to what?
So, but do you mean that there is a case for closure if you comply with the ED's questions? Or is it your fate that the court process will happen, or the closure can happen at the investigation stage itself if you are found, above board?
See, if during the course of investigation, particularly in the PMLA case, if the person is found not to be involved in the activity, then the case against him can be closed. And if the whole case is found to be not giving rise to the money laundering offenses, then the enforcement directorate can close the case. That it is not that in every case will lead to the court trial. Depends upon case to case, depends upon the evidence, depends upon whether the person has violated the law or has not violated the law.
So you mean corporate should be rightly taking decisions on how they comply with the demands of documents?
Yes, that is very important. If the particular industry people who are called for interrogation, they come out with clarity why this transaction has taken place. There may be compelling reasons, there may be reasons, but if those reasons are told truthfully, then there is a high probability if nothing wrong has been done, then IU will understand and things can go in the right direction.
Okay. In the last few questions, I want to ask you, generally, how long is the court process in these cases? Can it take many years once a corporate gets into a prosecution, or is it in 2-3 years that these are adjudicated?
See, it is very, very difficult to judge how long it will take. The first stage is taking cognizance, which is done immediately. Then the second stage is framing of the charges. Even sometimes framing of the charges takes time. Discharge petition could be filed by the person. They can go to High Court if they feel that there is nothing wrong under 482 CRPC. Sometimes the framing of the charge itself takes a few years.
2 years?
Yeah. Then the trial starts. After the charges are framed, then the trial starts. In trial, all the evidences are to be proved in the court. Each document has to be proved that it is an authentic document. And then defense is given opportunity to defend themselves. So it's a long process because of the overloading of the cases in the courts. It becomes difficult that the trial is completed. I have seen the cases which have gone for 9 years, 10 years. Some cases are finalized early also. Maybe there is a requirement because what happens is the special judge which are handling the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, they are handling other cases also. Therefore, there is an overload on them. Either this particular judge, special court, is only dealing with the PMLA and the predicate offense, which are supposed to be handled by the same court. Or there could be more judges.
So that is somewhere we should look forward to for quicker decision or resolution of these cases. Yes. But you made a very good, in a sense, disclosure today that if complied with honesty, there is a chance that cases can get closed after investigation. You need not go for trial.
Yes.
So thank you for very patiently answering all questions, also sharing in detail with the viewers each aspect of first GST and PMLA and how to tackle if you are prosecuted. Many companies would want to know whether it is their fate that they have to go to trial. Thankfully, you said it's not. If a business complies with the requirements, there is a chance that he may be let off if he is found to be above board. We will discuss more with you on this issue on the upcoming episode in the coming month, which will detail about the whole trial process, and the working of enforcement directorate once somebody is prosecuted, how they can comply better. But for today, I thank you so much for sharing all these things with us. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.